Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you joining us online. Thank you, Janice, for this introduction. It's really a pleasure to welcome you to this panel. I think you're going to feel very inspired and you're going to learn a few things as well. So as Janice has said, we are talking in this panel about how we can enable women entrepreneurs in agribusiness. It's wonderful to be here in person in Athens, and that so many of you are able to join us, whether you're here in person or online. I would like to congratulate the organizing committee of the AgriBusiness Forum for organizing this discussion. It's a very timely one. And those of you that have listened into the first panel, you can see how in-depth some of these issues are being explored. And we will do more of that in our panel now. I think we're all struggling with the COVID-19 impact, and we also are really putting our finger on an issue that is coming to the forefront in the news every day on supply chains. And so this is something that requires a whole of system approach. We know that women make up over 40% of the agricultural labor force if we look at the formal labor force. This doesn't even capture some of the informal work. And we know also from the numbers that we have, and I'm a person who really believes in the numbers, but sometimes the numbers can be a little bit overwhelming. So I'd just like to share with you some of the things that I've learned from some of the numbers that have really stuck with me. One of those is that if we continue at this rate, and this was before even the COVID-19 crisis, that by 2030, and we have this really ambitious agenda of the Sustainable Development Goals, but at the current rate, there will be over 2 billion women and girls who will be under that poverty line and sustaining themselves on $1.90 per day. That's staggering. That's over 2 billion women and girls that will be left behind. Another thing that comes to my mind is coming actually from a study that FAO did many years ago, where they showed that if you give the same inputs to men and women farmers, you are going to get better outputs, greater outputs from those women farmers. So it doesn't explain why they are still under-resourced. So we're going to try and tackle some of these issues in our discussion today. We know that women are facing challenges. We know that they are discriminated against. We know that they don't have the same access to information and resources. They don't have access to those inputs that they can produce so many good things out of. We know also that women and girls are bearing the burden of unpaid care and domestic work, as well as unpaid agriculture work, in fact. And this really limits their access to the benefits from economic growth. So we really think that we have to now think about all of these issues together in a systematic approach. And I think in the first panel, we're getting there, but I think there's a critical component that we need to address. And we now are going to hear from the very experts. In the first panel this morning, we were talking about putting farmers at the center of this discussion. So let's put those women at the center of those discussions. These are the experts. We're going to hear from two amazing experts. From a technical perspective, we will need, you'll need to choose the language that you want to listen to, because we're going to have the Turkish language. And we're going to then later move on to some of the development practitioners who are there to support these women and women entrepreneurs. You're going to be so impressed by these women. They are incredible award winners. And I'd like to begin with Nardane Kuscu. Nardane is also known as Narane. Nar means pomegranate in Turkish, and Narane refers to pomegranate mother. And she is in many ways connected to Mother Earth. She has become a role model in Turkey for her contribution to the protection of endemic species and fauna, for the preservation of ancestral seeds. She is a teacher and educator. She established the NAR Education and Consulting organization to provide training and support services to companies, to schools, to families, to really bring back the connection to nature and to focus on these traditional farming methods. She built Narköy, which is the village of Nar, or the village of pomegranate, which is an organic agricultural farm. It also has an ecological hotel and a training center. And looking at some of the beautiful photos from this morning when I had the pleasure of meeting Nardane, I would encourage you all to visit it. I'm definitely planning to. So with this, and one award winner, amongst the many awards, Nardane received the Best Women Entrepreneur Award in 2016. I think we're all looking forward to listening to you. So over to you, Nardane.